Could you kindly introduce yourself for us and tell us who you are and what's your story?
My name is Farai Musungwa, but having been in this country, I think they were having problems pronouncing my surname, so I'm Mr. Farai, everywhere I go. I don't know whether you want to call it the founder, but basically I started Safety Quip 2003. Initially, we had been in a footwear manufacturing industry. We're making shoes, school shoes, and safety shoes in a previous company called Eland, and that just went in an abrupt end in 2002. And from there, we had the customers still coming through asking, but obviously we couldn't manufacture. The manufacturing was one of our biggest challenges, I think. We were doing 800 pairs of shoes a day, but the market wasn't there. The market was just the most incredulous problem we came across, so that came to an abrupt end. So 2003, we started Safety Quip, basically from just inquiries. Most of the guys who kept coming back saying, can we have shoes, school shoes and stuff, and of course the contacts I still had. So basically I think that's how we started Safety Quip, just from the initial inquiry that ran over from the shoe factory. And we are a God-fearing, I think that's the basis of our belief. We believe in God through and through, and we take a lot of time basing all that we do from the integrity of fearing God. So that has also helped us when you've got people also God is using outside who then say, please see my son, look at this person. And that's how we started getting some degree of movement, getting a bit of traction.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
And what has your business contributed, according to you, to the local community?
In our challenges, when we started 2003, I think we had such tremendous difficulties. It was an uphill battle. We were coming into an industry, a market rather, that had the likes of Quipco, that it sent a very high standard. Minjix was also coming into play. We didn't have any funds per se. We started from grassroots, money, savings, and having to sell bits and pieces of our own, the likes of cars, just to try and get capital. Nobody knew you, and so that's how difficult it was in the beginning. So from that start, it was almost impossible, if it were, to try and assist community whilst we were digging ourselves out of the hole per se. So but eventually as we grew, we are part and parcel of the DNA for our communities, our schools. The church communities, we're quite central as well. They come knocking on our doors daily. It's not something I want to speak too loudly, but the Lord knows, what we are doing. But we are very active, very, very active. Yeah, we've got a lot of schools, a lot of communities. We've got churches as well who come by. So yeah.
Most definitely. And obviously, as you started Safety Quip, I'm sure it wasn't easy. From the time you started and getting to where you are now, right? Through that process, you faced some difficulties for sure. If you don't mind, could you share a few of those problems with us? And obviously, what steps did you take, to encounter those, so that this can inspire others who are, probably have the same issues?
Same issues, yeah. I think our biggest problem was backhanders. I'll say it as it is, I think that's one thing that is always a hush-hush type of situation where people don't, not too comfortable to talk about it. But we bumped into a lot of that. Being obviously on a public domain, I can't say where and how and who, but yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges. You come across guys who obviously want to give you business as long as you scratch their backs per se. And we stood, fast and very resilient to that. And it wasn't very welcome. I think the general industry, the general populace was just so accustomed to that. So we became very infamous, very, very infamous. And we couldn't get the traction we almost, we projected we would. It took us twice or three times as long to get there because we remained relevant, we remained there, though of course at many a times, because of the slowness of business and sales, we didn't have enough capital to do what we wanted to do at the time we wanted to do it. Um, uh, Overcoming some of the challenges, and I learned this almost late, and I want to probably say it at this juncture, is being faithful to your suppliers. Pay your suppliers, just pay your creditors. It sounds so difficult, but that's one of the simplest things that anybody who wants to start up in business should be able to just pay your creditors, and truly they'll worship the ground you walk on. But as I say, we found that a little late in the business, but now I know that was also the glue and what brought us quick. The moment I knew that, the moment I got that secret, I hung on to it, and before you know it, everybody, the suppliers in South Africa, were talking amongst one another, and it's a small, it's a global village. The whole community, the industry that we are in, everybody's talking to everybody. There may be competitors, but surely they are talking to one another one way or the other. And also because of the workers moving from one company to another, and so forth and so on. And that's what kind of was happening as well with us. The guys we were dealing with in one company would then go to another and say, please, you need to hook up this guy. He was buying X, Y, and Z from us, and so forth and so on. So we knew that the track record that we kept from the beginning, if we could just kind of hang on to it and make sure that we do the same with the next guys and the next guys. And that's how we just kind of ball rolled. And people like, no, we are, we prepared to give you 30 days, we prepared to give you 60 days. And that was unheard of when we started the businesses. It was unheard of. Nobody wanted to sell you anything on a 30, 60 day across the border, for that matter. So yeah, I think that's also helped a great deal to get us out of the hole. In Botswana, I think the one challenge is absolutely zero respect in terms of um, credit payment. People have no fear of not paying. They don't have any worry, no consequences, and they can go about not paying you, and they can tell you do whatever you need to do and so forth. And they'll jump from one guy to the next guy. But being a small country as it is, I think fast enough you'd hear, and the likes of Quipco, we work with them. We may not seem like we are friends at all, but they will pick up the phone and say, Farai, there's X, Y, and Z who's been buying from you, who I've seen coming to us. What has happened? And the X, Y, and Z. Okay, just wait, hold. We check on the thing, and boom, for sure. They are owing.
It's a pending bill, yeah.
It's a pending bill, and immediately Gavin hears that, he just says, please, can you attend to the Safety Quip one? And believe it or not, I've got hair standing on my back as I talk of Gavin. Such a gentleman, you don't get people like that. He has taught me to do that, from his integrity. He doesn't want anything from me. He says, Farai, you do your pricing, I do me. And wherever, if we come into a clash, let it be the price and service that speaks for us. Exactly. I'm not going to try and do you in, or I'm going to, no. So Gavin, So from there as well, we have learned a lot from him to just be integral, just remain first, firm and fast on your track. Don't try and be greedy and try and get the whole cake. There's enough if we can all work together, because at the end of the day, it's the customer. Even when he says, Farai, when you lower your price for the sake of getting it, he comes back to me again, and I lower my price. Who's winning?
Exactly.
Yeah. We both losing. So we share information, put it that way. And we continue to talk with Gavin. When we started, we were absolutely, we had a minus, I think our first year, second year, third year, we made loss, I think for 4 years, making losses. So looking at him and saying, would I ever get to that, was just such an inspiration as well. Yeah, but from what I've learned from him and also the guys around, just remain there.
Consistency.
Just remain there. Yeah. So when the guys come knocking, you are there. You may not be able to give them all you want. You are able to give them, but give them what you have, and tell them the truth. Yeah. And from there, they can read. There's something about the truth. It just resonates in a different way. Yeah. But lies have a way of just getting taken by the wind sometime. The truth remains constant and just stable.
Like they say, you tell one lie, you have to tell another
And
100 lies to cover it.
it.
And then you forget how many lies you've told and which is the truth.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, that's it. So that's the thing. So I mean, having learned that, you hold fast onto it, and what do you want to leave? You want to leave a legacy.
Oh, amazing stuff. And then lastly, what message do you have for aspiring entrepreneurs and the youth at large?
Dumela Bots is preparing a website for us late in the year. We are 20 21 years old. 21 years old. And having been 21 years old and developing a website this late, one wonders why are we developing so late when in fact there's nothing in this world at this point you are able to do without media. Everything is just so much media driven, and we find that that's where we ought to be as well. Just before the camera was on, we were talking of Facebook. We need to be on there, everybody, whether you like it or not, whether you want to be ignorant of the fact. It keeps coming up, everybody keeps talking of it. I think for the business we need to be visible, we need to be there, we need to make sure that people are aware of what is happening, what we are doing, without having to go on knocking on their doors. So I think the message I would from just that statement alone is, one thing that is constant is change. 51 years of age, and I'm thinking I should have caught on to that a little earlier. I know my sons are like tech savvy every time. They'll be asking me, Dad, why are you not on Facebook? Why are you not on this? For the business sake. So definitely, I think the message I would say, is there's definite change always, and you need to keep up with it. Even our products speak exactly the same. The boots we were selling some 21 years ago are no longer the same. you know Guys come in here knocking and say they've seen this on Facebook, they've seen that on, and we need to keep up with the trends, we need to keep up with the fashion, we need to keep up with what is out there. So that's one thing we need also in any business. Just be prepared to be changing, be flexible. Just know that you cannot remain with the old ways and be stuck with that. We need to be constantly changing, with the trends and with where the winds are taking us. So yeah, I can talk and continue.
Thank you so much.